certainly feel like Big Bird driving it. Listen to that. Welcome back to Future Classics. My name is Becky Evans and today we're going to take a look at the truly unique Renault Sport Spider. The Renault Sport Spider was Renault's sports car from the late 1990s. It was unveiled at the Geneva Motor Show in 1995 and it was initially designed as a one-make race car and road car, but was every bit the halo model for the French brand. It became the first Renault road car to be badged Renault Sport and set the tone for all of the hot hatches to come in later years. Now this car had an aluminium chassis and plastic bodywork, so the Spider was all about being lightweight. With the engine mounted behind the driver's seat, it had a 5-speed manual transmission. Now this had the F7R, which was a 2-litre twin-cam 4-cylinder, which had 150 brake horsepower, but it only had 930 kg to move around, which gave it an amazing power-to-weight ratio to match its low centre of gravity. But it wasn't just the fact that this car offered a hardcore driving experience, there were so many unique characteristics. The fact that it was only supplied as a convertible, the extremely stripped out interior, the butterfly doors. This car was really special, but that's why people loved it. Renault only made 1,800 of these cars between 1996 and 1999, with around 100 of them coming to the UK in right-hand drive with a full windshield. But history remembers this car as a bit of an underdog, as it arrived on the scene at the same time as the mighty Lotus Elise. The Lotus Elise was just considered more of a road car. It had a roof which made it more practical. It was over 200 kg lighter thanks to its revolutionary aluminium chassis. But it was really the price that set these two cars apart, with the Renault Sport Spider being around £28,000 when it came out, which was far more expensive than the Lotus.
I bought a Renault Sport Spider because I'd seen them in the 90s in the Renault garages, and I guess they'd kind of sucked into my brain at that point. And 20 odd years later, made a decision to buy one, and that's why I've got this thing sitting here. It's unique, it's a bit different, it's a bit quirky, it's a bit French. It's yellow. I don't know. I just like those bits about it. I mean, it drives. It is a great car to drive as well. But I love all the quirky bits about it. I love just driving along the seafront here, and I can drive nice and slowly and just see people. You even like looking in the rear view mirrors, and I'll see people doing that to the car, and I don't know, I get a buzz out of that. I like taking the car to shows, so I've been to Goodwood, to the Breakfast Club a few times with it, well, quite a few times actually. I've had it at the open day as well, so that's been, I've loved doing that, the open day at Goodwood. So I just like basically other people seeing the car or just talking to people about it. I did a tour locally around Sussex with the car to 5 villages. And it was great then because we'd pull up into the village and people would come out for the cars that were on show. I think mine was about one of 30 cars. But I'd let the kids sit in the car with the doors up, and they just love it. And I'd love to see the smile on the kids' faces. There's nothing to it. It's just such a simple, basic car, and it's totally different to the modern cars of today. I would describe it to people as a go-kart for the road. It's not practical at all. It's not practical at all. There's no roof, no windows. Nothing, it's just basic stripped out car. I would say it's already a classic. You know, it's 25 years old. I know the values are increasing on these cars. There's always a rarity on them here. You know, people don't really know them. Some people do, some people don't. But yes, I'd say it's already a classic car.
It's great fun. I knew of this car but had never ever driven one. It was kind of a mythical beast that Renault had brought out in the late 90s. From 96 to 99 these cars ran, and it was the first ever Renault car to bear the Sport name. There were so many things about this car that made it so unique, to the point where people were probably asking Renault, what were you thinking? I love the fact that there was an option of having a windscreen. It has a completely aluminium bonded tub. And then you've got plastic composite body panels. The whole name of the game with this car was lightweight, and that's exactly what it was, just over 900 kg. It was then fitted with the 150 brake horsepower, 4-cylinder 16 valve, which was the F7R, which was actually the Renault Clio Williams engine. It was a 2-litre pumping out 150 brake. And you know what? With the 5-speed manual and the way it's sat in the body, you really get that go-kart feel when you're driving it. It's great fun. You feel like you've got such a low centre of gravity. You've got a wheel at each corner. Honestly, it's got no aids, no brake servo, it's got no ABS, it's got no power steering. But honestly, does it need it? What it does have though, is it has butterfly doors. It also has no electronics at all. I mean, I love the fact that there's a fascia here in the middle of the car, and they've given you 2 options of buttons, but then they've blanked one of the buttons out because they're like, no, you don't need that. All you need is a hazard lights and then also a heated windscreen. The cockpit is very much driver orientated. You've got your digital speedo in the middle here, and then right in front of you, you've just got the rev gauge. It's almost like it's inviting you to just rev it. It's got an incredibly addictive revvy engine to it. I was taking it up and down these roads here. Apart from the fact that it's a non-negotiable with the convertible, this is really wicked fun to drive. I'm just looking ahead of me and you're just thinking, I wonder how this is going to go around the corners on this wicked A road. And isn't that what it's all about? I feel like this car really does celebrate the joy of driving. Unique is the word that I'm thinking of when I reference this car. Renault made this, and it really was the halo car for Renault at the time. It bore the Sport name, and also it really meant that they were putting all of that technology, because at the time, Renault were really starting to kick ass in F1. And they thought, you know what? We're going to create a road car with a one-make race series to its name, and out of that was born the Renault Sport Spider. It's not particularly fast, but because it has such a good power to weight ratio, it really pulls along the road. I just feel like the way the pedals are even set up as well, without the brake servo, you can actually lean on the pedal, and you can really imagine how this car would feel on a racetrack. It's very inviting, I won't lie. I would have loved to have been there at the Geneva Motor Show in 1995 when this car was released, because people would have just been like, what is going on? What is this unicorn that Renault have come out with? All butterfly wings, wheels at each corner, no windscreen, in this beautiful shade of yellow. What a time to be alive. Unfortunately, in 1995, I was only 3 years old, but I can imagine the look on people's faces when this came out. Such a complete change in direction, but a very welcome one. This car to me really is the joy of driving. It's so raw, it's so analog, it's so ridiculous in some ways. But isn't that what it's all about? When you buy something like this, you buy it to have fun in and to enjoy. And I don't think it's possible to drive this car without doing that. After driving the Renault Sport Spider, I can totally understand why Keith loves this car. It's such a great driving experience, and it turns heads wherever it goes. In my eyes, this is already a classic, as there was just so few of them that came to the UK. So when they do come up for sale, they charge a hefty premium. This is a fine example of when car manufacturers were able to make what they like, how they liked it. Thanks so much for joining us on Future Classics, and I'll see you on the next one.